Back in 1948, there was this super decorated US Air Force pilot who got into a wild aerial dogfight with some mysterious object right over American skies. This wasn't just some random sighting. Nope, it was a full-on interception. And get this, whatever he was chasing was zooming around him like it was nothing, way beyond what any plane could do. Buckle up, partners. This is a wild one. On the night of October 1st, 1948, an encounter unfolded over North Dakota that would become one of the earliest and most technically documented aerial UFO incidents in U.S. history. Unlike many sightings of the era, this case involved a trained military pilot, radar confirmation, ground observers, and an attempted aerial interception. What followed was not a fleeting glimpse, but a prolonged, structured engagement that challenged conventional explanations from the moment it occurred. The main witness was George F. Gorman, a 25-year-old lieutenant and decorated World War II veteran in the Minnesota Air National Guard. That evening, he was piloting an F-51D Mustang, previously called the P-51, returning alone to Fargo after a training exercise. His experience and familiarity with night flying are key to the credibility of his account. At approximately 9 p.m., while descending toward Fargo's Hector Field, Gorman noticed a bright white light maneuvering ahead of his aircraft. Initially assuming it to be another plane or possibly a civilian aircraft, he contacted the control tower to inquire whether any other traffic was in the air. Air traffic controllers reported no known aircraft in his vicinity, immediately elevating concern. As Gorman adjusted his course, the light suddenly altered its behavior, executing sharp turns, rapid climbs, and descents that appeared responsive to his own maneuvers. According to Gorman's later testimony, the object displayed controlled movement rather than drifting or floating behavior. The encounter soon escalated from observation to pursuit. Ground observers at the airfield, including control tower personnel, also observed the object visually. In addition to visual sightings, radar operators detected an unidentified return that corresponded with Gorman's position and reported maneuvers. This convergence of visual and radar data distinguished the incident from many contemporaneous UFO reports. Gorman attempted multiple interception runs, diving toward the object and climbing rapidly to meet it. On at least one occasion, the object appeared to react instantly, accelerating vertically at a rate Gorman later estimated far exceeded the capabilities of known aircraft of the era. He described the object as a glowing sphere approximately 6 to 8 inches in apparent diameter at distance, emitting no visible exhaust. During one aggressive turn, Gorman experienced extreme G-forces that nearly caused him to black out. He aborted the maneuver to avoid losing control of his aircraft. The object, by contrast, continued maneuvering effortlessly, executing tight turns and abrupt changes in direction without any observable inertia or loss of speed. After roughly 27 minutes of pursuit, Gorman disengaged when his aircraft's fuel levels dropped to a critical threshold. The object ascended rapidly and disappeared from view. Gorman landed safely, visibly shaken, and immediately filed a detailed report with Air Force intelligence personnel. The U.S. Air Force classified the encounter as a dogfight, a term rarely used in official UFO documentation. Investigators conducted extensive interviews with Gorman and corroborating witnesses, reviewed radar data, and examined weather conditions. Importantly, no evidence of hallucination, fatigue-induced illusion, or misidentification was found during the initial inquiry. This was actually the Air Force's first real deal when it came to looking into UFOs. They checked out this case, and at first, they were like, yep, this thing is definitely unidentified. Months later, as Project Sign gave way to Project Grudge, the official explanation shifted. The Air Force concluded that the object was likely a high-altitude weather balloon, possibly illuminated by moonlight or city lights. This conclusion conflicted with earlier assessments and introduced controversy that persists to this day. Critics of the balloon explanation noted several inconsistencies: whether balloons cannot perform responsive maneuvers, accelerate vertically at high speed, or appear to engage in pursuit avoidance behavior. Additionally, balloons do not register clearly on radar in the manner reported during the incident. Gorman himself rejected the balloon explanation, stating unequivocally that the object he pursued behaved as though under intelligent control. His statements remained consistent over time, and no evidence emerged to discredit his testimony or suggest exaggeration. The case became one of the earliest examples cited to demonstrate a pattern later seen in modern military encounters: unidentified objects displaying superior maneuverability, apparent awareness of interception attempts, and the ability to disengage at will. Unlike later UFO cases, the Gorman Dogfight occurred before the Cold War aerospace boom, before advanced drones, and before public familiarity with experimental aircraft. Declassified Air Force documents now acknowledge that no definitive identification was ever achieved. While officially explained in public summaries, internal correspondence reveals lingering uncertainty among investigators. The Gorman Dogfight remains notable for its technical depth. Pilot testimony, radar corroboration, ground witnesses, and a structured military investigation, all present in a single case. Ufologists, the folks who study UFOs, think that the way this thing acted shows it was actually paying attention to us, not just floating around aimlessly. They say this whole encounter could be one of the first signs that some non-human intelligence is out there, checking us out and seeing what our military can do. Just imagine, we might not be alone after all. Alright watchers, let's dive into some cool facts about this story that you might find interesting. The term dogfight was used internally by the Air Force, an unusual choice that implied perceived adversarial maneuvering. Gorman's aircraft, the F-51 Mustang, was among the fastest piston engine fighters ever built, yet was still outmatched. Radar confirmation occurred independently of Gorman's visual contact. The case was initially classified as unidentified, not misidentified. Weather balloons of the era lacked reflective materials capable of producing sustained radar returns. Gorman never recanted or altered his account in later interviews. The incident occurred before the CIA became involved in UFO policy shaping. It predates both Project Blue Book and the Robertson Panel. The Gorman Dogfight was not a rumor, a myth, or a second-hand story passed down through decades of speculation. It was a documented military encounter involving a trained fighter pilot, ground witnesses, radar confirmation, and a formal U.S. Air Force investigation. An object was present in controlled airspace that night, one that maneuvered with apparent intent, reacted to interception attempts, and displayed performance far beyond what was publicly known or acknowledged in 1948. The explanations offered since have never fully accounted for the totality of the evidence, leaving behind a quiet but persistent question. If this was not technology of its time, then what was sharing our skies? For those willing to look honestly at the record, the Gorman Dogfight invites us to imagine a reality larger than official narratives. One where humanity may not have been alone in the airspace it believed it controlled. Whether the phenomenon represents advanced non-human intelligence, a presence quietly observing us, or something we have yet to understand, the encounter stands as an early reminder that some truths resist simplification. Thank you for tuning in to They Are Watching Us. Stay curious, stay grounded, stay safe. See you next time, watchers. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. If you're as into UFOs and all that cool disclosure stuff as I am, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. It really helps me keep the good content coming your way on this super fascinating topic. Seriously, I appreciate it so much. Catch you later.